Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. And there is some freaking crazy energy coming through. I've been awake for a while, but I feel like I'm still trying to pull myself out of bed. Like the level of tired that I'm experiencing right now, I'm not familiar with. I'm really not. It's crazy how tired I feel. There's a lot of stuff happening. Happy Equinox. Happy Equinox, everyone. It's the for this side of the hemisphere, it's the fall equinox, and for the southern hemisphere, it's the spring equinox. So happy spring, happy fall, depending on where you are. Man, let's talk about some of the stuff that's happening planetarily. Um, well, a lot of you might know that we're about to get a second moon. So this is another moon that, in addition to our Luna, the moon that we already have, we know and love and call the moon. This moon is 33 feet in diameter, and having such a deeply coded number really draws my attention even further to it. That's coming into our orbit and staying for 53 days. From what they're saying, it's going to be here on the 29th, and it'll stay in our orbit as a moon for 53 days going into the 25th of November. So the pretty much the what's left of us and our pause of the age of Aquarius. Remember, we September 1st through November 19th, we're no longer in the hi, Carmen. I'm looks like I saw there was some chat a moment before I came on, but I haven't really looked at it. So Carmen, you're actually the first comment that's come up where I can see it when I'm live here. So you're first, even though I know that someone else came on too. So yeah, we are doing a meditation later. If you're interested in that, then connect on our Telegram group. There's a link in the description of this video where you can join that group. Anyway, so I'm still first. I bet is what he's saying. Carmen says, I'm still first. Yes, you are, Carmen. So far, you're the only comments that have popped up here. Anyway, so let's talk about this more of this for a moment. The pause in the age of Aquarius started on September 1st and goes until November 19th. And then this moon will stay in our orbit for that entire period. Pardon me. Also, we haven't really had any solar activity according to what I've recently seen. However, this Russell McPherson, I always say it wrong, effect is still occurring for another month. What that is that typically, so us and the sun are usually kind of off. We're not a perfect line to each other. This background thing, the way that Restream does background makes it kind of funky. Anyway, and then during the eclipse, or excuse me, the equinoxial window, it lines up more perfectly. And so for the remainder of this month and the majority of October, we're going to be in a better alignment. So all things that come off of the sun are more of a direct connection to us. So any of the solar activity that we have during the solar cycle 25 will have a greater impact on our planet, which is kind of cool. And also something to be aware of, if these energies as they come in affect you in a bigger way, this is time to really consider, your grounding practices, the things that you're putting in your body food wise, remembering to drink clean water. We always drink spring water. Spring water is a big deal for us. And, just kind of keeping in mind the things that you're putting into your body. And there's also something else to point out that Jupiter, okay, excuse me, where is it? Yeah, Jupiter and the Jupiter moon conjunction is occurring, I believe, tonight. I have it on my calendar for the 23rd, but I didn't stop to look at the time. Anyway, so this conjunction is also a really extremely beautiful one. Every time there's a conjunction, if you look at who they are, Jupiter is Zeus, I believe, and the moon is Artemis. She's the divine feminine energy that has that conversation. And so father and daughter kind of stuff going on right now. Also, before I forget, I gotta say that it's on my heart goes out to all of you in support and love. I cannot count how many people have reached out to me in the past 3 days in crisis. There's been all kinds of dark night of the soul and just stuff coming up for people. So if that's you, I wanted to share that so you know that you're not alone, that there's something more going on. It's not simply that this is the moment that you as an individual are going through this. It seems to be a very big experience for many people. Okay, so, and we're in the equinox. Stuff always goes down on the equinox. Everybody gets excited about the equinox, and so do I, because it's a time of awesome stuff coming in. However, it does typically cause a little shaking up. The things that don't serve us come up, they float to the surface, and so we can heal them. Metaphysical Mike says, for the last 20 plus years of life, I thought I was such a selfish person and mean, but have had all needy mental programs control my life and how I act. I'm trying my best to love that shadow part of me. Awesome. This is exactly what I was just talking about, this type of thing, and you're approaching it in a very responsible manner. Good job. It's difficult to allow ourselves to accept these shadow parts. We create a shadow. Shadow aspects come when there is something about us that we edit out, when we remove ourselves from being our truest authentic selves. And a lot of times we don't even notice that we're doing it. We didn't even notice that we had started to do it at a really early age. It usually starts in childhood, when a parent is trying to guide a child to behave in a certain way that is more in alignment with what they think that should happen or whatever. And so one of the most common ones, here's an example, but this will echo true for most of you, is don't cry. Crying is weakness, or it's not manly, or something like that, right? And so we'll learn to edit that out. We'll put that into our shadow. We'll hide it away and pretend it's not there, but it's still there, and it's still loud, and it notices itself not being noticed. It's not integrated fully into who we are, and things like this. There's a lot of different. And so one of the things that you can do to help yourself, this is really useful to know, is to go into your face it with shadow work, is what it's called. Shadow work meditation, guided meditations. You can find a lot of examples of that on YouTube. Many of the meditations that I do when we go down, we do go to these places where you can meet your child self. A lot of times they're very timid, shy, scorned, right? And then when you go down in there, you can meet them, and you can reassure them, comfort them, and it's beautiful. And then there's this reunion. You can reintegrate these aspects into your field. There's other ways of doing it, but this is the one that I have found the most straight head on. So Spiritual Warrior says, hello, beautiful souls. Good to see you. Welcome. Hi, Kenny. Good to see you. Also, Light Activator. Hi, beautiful Mila. Good to see you. Man, I am so tired. And it's not just me, my kiddo too. She probably went right back to bed again as soon as the level of tiredness that we're having. Pardon me. Also, the vibration in our legs and feet, we're feeling this vibration as the core is shifting. There's some cool stuff going on with that. A lot of people are experiencing that, as well as other symptoms that maybe aren't the most lovely symptoms. Hey, Jody just asked a question when I'm starting to go into the headaches, and especially the bottom of the head and into the shoulder stuff. Typically, everyone I've talked to so far, it's been one side or the other, the left or the right. And typically also Every one of us have gone and explored that in our thoughts. And like, well, is there something that I did that kind of encouraged that? And none of us have that. We didn't go to the gym and we didn't like go haul a bunch of hay or anything like that. And so it's not related to a recent physical activity. What I have gotten from that is that it's a wing activation. A lot of us are getting this wing activation. This vibration of the core stuff kind of connects when the feet and the legs are doing this vibration. Vibrating meaning it feels cool and you can feel it like inside fluttering, and it comes back up into the core. The core I'm talking about specifically is around the sacral chakra, maybe in between the sacral chakra and the solar plexus. This vibration that's happening, you can feel that it's connected somehow to the core of the planet. And not that the core of the planet is what they say it is, but there's stuff going on in there. We're doing this purging right now, where we've been doing it for some time, for the better part of 5 years. You count it as 4 years, but it's the better part of 5 years now. And as we've been doing this, we've been releasing these things. It's come up in like a pulse, like waves of energy that's come up. And so typically we will notice it in the vibration. I'm surprised that there's not been more Schumann activity. However, as a lot of you know, have reported to me, and I've heard about it before it was going to happen, that they're kind of not making the Schumann information as readily available to the public any longer, for whatever purpose or reason. And, use your own discernment. You can feel it. We've learned what it feels like when the Schumann is spiking. And I've definitely felt the earth talking to us. So there's a lot of that. Of course, the ringing of the ears. I've had the flood of while my ears are ringing, almost always there's it's like vertigo, disorientation, and lightheadedness in the same time. I add disorientation to it because it's a sensation of not knowing where the gravity is, what direction is up and which one's down. I personally have not found that it's made me unstable on my feet, not to that degree, but there's a shift in the frequency. This is something that's been happening for a lot of individuals for the duration of this month, is that new gifts are coming back online. We think that we're learning how to be psychic. We're learning how to use our telepathy. And yeah, we are. It's a muscle that's already been there. It's just we're learning how to use that muscle. Right. And so that's another report of a lot of the symptoms that people are talking about are these clairs. They're getting they're able to hear spirit. They're able to sense spirit in a way they've never done before, and things like this. It's really cool. And the visuals, the visions, seeing, not visions, but seeing these beings. A lot of people, including myself, have had an uptick in sighting these beings. At first, a lot of times you'll find that the orb, it'll be an orb of light. Not always is the orb a circle. I call it an orb because that's the best way to describe it. But typically it'll be kind of fluid, like it'll be many different shapes as it moves. It's like plasma in the air, and it'll glow. Not always, though. Sometimes it's shadow. And when it's shadow, we sometimes will assign that as something that's not good for us or whatever. And that's not always true. Typically, I have found a shadow is a being coming forward that is unable to be seen by me fully. It's devoid of its detail. And so it's the shadow. You'll notice typically there'll be a little highlight, like a very faint, thin aura of almost white. It's just real faint. And then you can tell it's like matte, like that matte of if you're looking at like the different textures, it's not sheer or sheen. It's this matte black or shadow color. It's empty. For our sight. It does not mean it's evil. It does not mean it's bad. It's just that we are unable to see it. There's some type of inability to access that at that moment. So that's a really common one too. That's been kind of getting yanking people's chain and getting them kind of a little bit nervous. So I just wanted to let you know that when you see those things, if you don't know what it is, if you don't know what you're experiencing is coming in to assist you and is of the highest light and highest love, all you have to do is send love to it. How we send love to something is we bring up the emotion that we bring up as we're about to say I love you to someone, or that we love a lot, and bring that up and send it out. When it goes out, it's like it goes out in all directions, though it's typically focused on a spot or location, so it'll like flare out. When we send love out to someone, if they are of love, they will send back love, amplified by many. If they are not of love, they will flee, for the shadow cannot stand before the light. It makes them very uncomfortable and they just take off. So if you need any kind of repellent, it works for that. So that's how you can tell. It's jarring for everyone when they first get sight. When you first start to see frequencies, start to see beings, it's jarring. Not always do we see the face in detail like we would when they were here, but a lot of people are also seeing and experiencing those who have passed a lot more lately. And so one of the first things that I ever experience when someone comes in is one of the first things I'll experience as they enter my field is there'll be a scent or an aroma, an odor. This aroma is significant for who they were, and it's kind of like clues to who they are. People, for instance, who smoked cigars frequently, you'll start to smell cigar, and maybe people who like to camp a lot and they always smelled like campfire, you'll smell campfire. My little brother smells like a Nintendo that's been on too long, so that burning plastic and bubble gum, that smells like my brother. And like everybody smells different. So you'll smell an aroma. And sometimes this is as far as it goes for people. So just keeping that in mind, as that occurs, that's not always the first thing that a person will experience. This is how it goes for me. And then there'll be this flood of emotion that comes with it. As they enter our sphere, this is our sphere, this is their sphere. As they enter our sphere, there's this edge part that when it first bumps, we start to feel them. And then it swells bigger and bigger as they envelop or overlap and creating the Vesica Pisces of communication. So then we'll start to get all these senses and knowings and stuff. It's really cool. A lot of people are having this. So just kind of wanted to point that one out too. Thank you for your question. Hi, Janet. Hi, Mila. No sleep last night. Yeah, there's been a lot of that going around. Like, I am so tired. I feel like I got sleep, logically speaking, but my body doesn't feel that way, man. I could have stayed asleep. I could have stayed in bed for hours more than I did. Oh my goodness. Also, you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned, but there's a picture of an asteroid. And so I wanted to point out the asteroid, PT5. I think it's funny because when I look at it in writing, it's 2024 PT5. It looks like it says points. And that's a really cool personal thing that comes up. This particular asteroid that's coming in, it's already in our vicinity, though the 25th. So in 3 days, it will be full on able to be seen and understood as it is, though it's going to grow in its brightness between the October 10th and October 12th in the Northern Hemisphere. It will be so bright that it is likely we'll be able to see it in the daylight. It'll be illumination 3. Which is really bright. It's brighter than any other star in the night sky. Of course, the moon isn't a star, so that's not included, though. The moon will be brighter I can't remember if it's going to be the 17th, I believe, is the full moon. So it'll be near full at that point. It'll be in the middle somewhere. So you'll be able to see it really well, is the point. So I encourage you, when you get closer to that window of time in the Northern Hemisphere, to look up. Also, in the Southern Hemisphere, you're going to be able to see this really soon if you're not already seeing it. So that's pretty exciting. It'll be here for like a month, or I'm guesstimating it's probably about 3 weeks or so. 4 weeks. Yeah, it's about a month. So that's another really interesting thing. And if we're going into October, I wanted to point this out again. October, through the month of October, and as well as the remainder of this month, any of the solar activity that we get will be more of a direct hit. So we'll have a lot more energy moving into our atmosphere and through the earth that comes off the sun in the solar cycle 25 because of the Russell McPherson theory, as well as in October on the full moon night of the 17th of October. There's the Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune square. This square hasn't occurred since 79 AD. This was the same year as Mount Vesuvius eruption. The reason we bring these things up is that you'll see that any of these alignments that have occurred, when they occur again, then if you look at history, you'll see that a lot of the things that had occurred during those particular alignments are repeating in some way. I'm not saying that we're going to have anything that's like a catastrophe, but it's really exciting to be aware of. Before I forget, I didn't mention this, is this comet, the 2024 PT5, will not be in our orbit again for 26,000 years. This is the Atlantis comet. And so again, how history repeats itself, we're in the third galactic year of the awakening, of the ascension phases of the 3 phases. And so this is the final of the 3 for this type of ascension that we're experiencing globally now. It's really phenomenal. So hello, autocorrect is, I know, autocorrect is mugging me too, man. I've been noticing, I was telling somebody that with all the stuff that's going on with technology, it feels like a whatever. I don't know why I can't say that word. Technology in Tower of Babel. It's create all these weird updates, and it's contrary and conflicting and all this stuff going on right now too. It's really ridiculous. The stuff that I've written is a result of autocorrect lately has been ridiculous. Hi, Chrissy. Good to see you. Welcome. Kylie says, I am so happy to be here right now. Thank you, Mila. Thank you for joining us, Kylie. Leah, so good to see you, sweetie. And being in Australia, there's a lot of stuff going on in Australia right now, energy-wise. Kylie, no sleep, energy spiking, vibrating from the inside out. Lights are, oh yeah, eyes. Thank you for bringing the eyes up. Eyes are blurry and crusty when I wake up. I got some weird stuff. I've been noticing it. It started to happen while I was on my live with Elsa back on Thursday. My eye just started to drain, and it's not quite like tears. There's something going on with our eyes. The last time that had occurred, we had some type of upgrade, and I was able to start to see things that I didn't see before. So it's positive when those types of things happen, though, and not always enjoyable. Bella, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. So good to see you. Hello, AG. I love you too. And Mom, hello, Colleen. Hi, Mila and everyone. We almost missed it. A little late, but we made it. Love you all. Good to see you both. Welcome. Spiritual Warrior says, a friend of mine is going through a rough awakening, struggling with dark night of the soul, and is trying to numb with alcohol. This is really typical, super common. A lot of people will go to alcohol or to other means of escapism is a word that I like to use. I don't know if it's a real word, but I kind of started using it. So it is for me. It's whether it's watching a lot of TV, being in the screen a lot, using chemicals like alcohol or other things like alcohol, and there's not a lot that I have found that I can do for that person except for hold the space for them and to send them love, to share the love out. A lot of times this is the best thing we can do for everybody, though it's not specific to an individual, is to do your healing. As we resolve trauma, as we heal this trauma, it causes a ripple effect among not just those in this planet with us, but all. It echoes out. It's like it looks like a percussion wave as it reverberates out, and it improves and affects positively everyone. As we heal self, as we resolve this trauma that's been hidden and hiding for however long, we find that we're then able to access, then they're now able to access the energy, the power, the the joy juice that guides them up enough to be able to also do their own healing. Often we'll find, okay, let me tell you this story. Hi, good to see you, Teresa. Good to see you. I miss you. uh, is that what we'll do is that as life cycles occur, incarnation cycles occur, how it works is typically most of us when we come in as the earth mission, and I'm not saying everybody here right now is that way. There's a lot of new souls that have entered into the experience over the past few decades or so, um, and during this awakening window of time. However, typically when an individual comes in and does this earth game, we're taking on a galactic year, which again is around almost, not quite, it's rounded up 26,000 years. And so many people have been incarnating and reincarnating for about that time, however many lifetimes that can occur in that window of time. You know what I mean? And we'll find that each time that a healing to trauma is not resolved, the healing isn't done, and we leave with that having been undone and incomplete, that when we return and reincarnate, that we introduce similar or almost identical life experiences into that lifetime. So we have something to point at that trauma, right? And so it piles up and piles up and piles up. And the longer we go without healing that particular trauma. And sometimes, often, I'm noticing lately anyway, there are many people who it's over encumbering. The level of healing that's needed to be done on that particular thing is piled up so much that it's insurmountable by that individual. And so those of us who are doing the healing that is of a similar nature, it's crazy. It's really cool how it works, is that it echoes out to them and it unburdens them, at least to enough of a degree that they're able to kind of begin to manage on their own. And so the best thing that you can do for anybody at this time is to heal self. The more you heal yourself, and I know a lot of us have been brainwashed into believing that that's selfish to heal self. It's not. It is definitely healing everyone while you're healing yourself. So I strongly encourage you to do that. Going into the shadow realm, meaning doing shadow work. You can find all kinds of group meditations on YouTube, or guided meditations on YouTube that are called shadow work. This helps you through your dark night of the soul. And when we do that, I just saw an orb. When we do that, we have a lot of unresolved things come up that can be healed. We can focus on loving self and loving this younger, this edited version of ourselves. A lot of times we see it as a child within. Inner child work is another way to say it. Sometimes you'll find the meditation labeled that way. So, hello, good to see you after the end times. Tiredness is really there. Yeah. Emphasize, bing, bing. There's so much tired. I really am. I could just go lay down right now and stay there for hours after the end times. Thanks for all the good information, dear Pamela. Thank you. Good to see you. Welcome to today's experience. Remembering that today's the equinox, we're going to feel a lot more energy today. This equinox, I have found, I don't know if what it has to do with what hemisphere you're on, the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, but I can say that each time that the equinox comes, a lot of things that need to be seen, the healing I was just talking about, kind of starts to come up to the surface and kind of go, hey, pick me. So a lot of people, I would say, are really noticing things that they hadn't seen or experienced before or for some time. Old wounds, old memories are kind of floating to the surface. And this is, in order for us to know what needs to be resolved at this time, what healing needs to be done. It's kind of giving you a magnifying glass to focus on a specific element that would be most helpful for you as an individual to heal this at this time. Hello, Stacy. My feet are so painful. Heels burning, so tired. Me and my dogs aren't sleeping. Fire internally at night. Okay, so the foot thing. I totally resonate with the foot thing. I'm so glad you brought this up. Pardon me. I'm having a lung thing going on, and I have again, it goes through, it cycles through, but it's back. Anyway, The foot thing, I'm noticing this too, um, especially on like the outside parts of my feet, that like the ink or the pinky toe side. I don't know the way to word that part of your foot. A lot of activation, and the top of the foot. A lot of activation's been happening there. I actually was just talking to someone else who's had an occurrence of this. For her in particular, spirit mentioned certain kinds of preservatives that were coming out. But then also too, this came up, and I'm going to bring it up because I think this will benefit everybody, is that during this time, um, a lot of us are having like weird appetite stuff for a reason, and we're losing and gaining weight. We're kind of like on this kind of thing like that. Um, a lot of these things that need to be kind of healed and looked at have been stored in our layers of fat. Fat doesn't, it's not, a derogatory or unkind thing to say. Everyone has some type of fat somewhere in their body, right? And in these fat cells is where a lot of these imbalanced chemicals, the things that don't serve us, are stored. Remembering that not always are these chemicals introduced into our body through our choice. Not always is it something that we've ingested or even our environment. The egg that became the baby that you were when you were born was completed and intact in your mother's womb, while your mother was in her mother's womb, while she was in your grandmother's womb. And so just looking at the generational experiences, just if you can go back that many generations, you'll find a lot of disruption through the ages, starting around the 1840s and going into the 1930s. That whole bulk window right there, a lot happened. So even further, it's simply that was the reset window time, and then a lot of new toxins were introduced into the environment. All of a sudden they started to take away the lead paint so they can send the frequencies into people's houses and apartments and stuff, because the lead paint, the removal of the lead paint, they used to say that it was about the lead kids eating paint chips and all this stuff. And of course, if you tug on the heart cords of people regarding children, then they'll do it. This was in order to make it so they can send these frequencies into your home. The lead on the walls was stopping it. And so that was what that was about, just in case anyone was wondering. That was a little bit of information. Jackie, I keep forgetting things. Yeah, I've had some weird brain stuff going on lately. It's been going on and off. It's like, it's really strange how it's, like, especially entering into a room. There's this old person joke that we used to tell a lot when I was in my teens about that, and more than not, now I'm understanding, as you enter a room, you're actually entering a portal, and that's, a lot of people report this, that you actually are manifesting what's going to be in the other side, the other room, as you enter it. Like, it's not actually really there. You're creating the reality before you. And so it's very bizarre that what we undergo while we're entering this space. Not to say that some of the other things that have people said aren't true as well, but that's really fascinating to kind of consider, because it feels like that's true for me. There are so much energetic changes now, hard to sort it out. I know, dude, there's so much going on. It's intense. We have a lot. It's crazy. I have this desk calendar that's just full of all of these occurrences and things that are happening right now. We're it's become an absolute joke to say once in a lifetime event, because how many once in a lifetime events can truly occur in a person's lifetime? Well, since 2017, the number has been off the charts. It's since the past 10 years. It's been 10 years. So even longer than that, since 2020 to 2013, we've had so many once in a lifetime events that have occurred. I guess it really did start 2012, didn't it? That's fascinating. Yeah. And so this is showing us the time that we're in, the age that we're in. We're in the age of awakening, the age of enlightenment, the age of the peak frequency. This is really the golden age. It's really cool. But so as a result, there's going to be a lot happening to us. Hi, Mila and everyone here. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you. Hey, Josie. Good to see you. The energy is lit. Yeah, it's actually really cool energy. I'm just really tired. I think that part of me just wants to kind of like be in that dream walking state and just experience a lot of it. But we're here in this moment that we're in. Hello, good to see you, Nazi. At night, I get muscle spasms in my legs. The great shaking out. A lot of people are having this right now. Um, a lot of really cool things that come from that. The shaking out is like you separate things that don't serve you from the things that do, and and a lot of times we don't know it. We don't notice it always, but a lot of times the energy that moves through us that doesn't serve us will get caught up in the corners. That's why when we smudge, that's when we use singing bowls, sound bowls, and stuff like that. We tend to want to get the corners of the room, the edges of this between the ceiling and the wall and stuff. The same is true inside of our bodies. So a lot of things get caught up in the shoulder area. You have an entire, spinal column full of vertebra, and each one of those vertebrae are another joint, window, a place for it to get caught up. Your elbows, your wrists, all of your fingers, all of your toes. Just think about all the different bending places. And so as we do this, our body starts to do the shaking out to naturally allow this stuff to be released. If you're allowing yourself to move through the light into this and directing it specifically to this area, meaning when you're in a place of meditation, bringing in the love of God, the love is light and light is love, and there's no separating the two. That was an Archangel Michael message. And as this loving, beautiful, warm, protective, awesome light moves into your form, doing this with intention and paying attention to it, breathing in through your nose, then holding it in your belly and growing your diaphragm as you do. Hold it for a moment while we pull the energy also up from our root chakra, up from Gaia, up through our root chakra and up into the same place of our diaphragm. And when we exhale, expanding the light and sending it to a specific region of our body that is in need of more of this love, this healing, this alignment. And this will assist us to move this density through these corners, these crevices, these places that our body's naturally doing, but it does help a lot if we do it with more intention. It's not always in a place that we consider a corner in our body, but typically this is the most profound experience. Kind of like a sink, the pipes in a sink. You'll notice that like the little bend is where everything kind of collects. It's the same kind of concept. And so just helping the light guide it out. Let's see. I just skipped. So hello, Patriot Hero. Good to see you. Hi, I've been having terrible issues with work. I might be losing my job. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not sure yet, though. Is there anything you can tell me to do? Wait, tell me, do you see me losing my job? I've been totally depressed, etc. I can say that there's been a lot of shifts occurring recently, and the shifts have been in alignment for your highest joy and highest good. I don't read the future for a person. I can just see, I can feel what is in alignment and what is useful. And what I am experiencing for you is there's a celebration and excitement, and it's good. So whether the goodness comes from you saying goodbye to this place of employment, or that things have been revealed to assist you to be in more balance of it, I can't say, but I can say that it's going to be awesome, and I hope that helps to know that it's going to be amazing. Just allow yourself to go with the flow of of the now moment that you're in. And, to know that you'll be protected, you'll be guarded and guided. You have guardians with you that support you and assist you in the places that you are. Not always does it seem like a choice that we would make for ourselves, but our higher self, our higher aspect is here making the choices for you. When we feel like that we're helpless and that we're out of control, it's ourselves making these decisions. So I hope that helps. Hello, Yolanda Marie. Good to see you. Light activator. I started saying that healing thyself is selfless. It is. It is so powerful, and it trickles up and down all generations. It truly does. It truly does. And more people are becoming aware of this. I'm finding it really fascinating that the regular, Joe Schmo on the street is aware of this right now, becoming more aware of this than ever before. That the healing that we're doing is releasing all generations. As the generational lines are released, then it's like the younger generation is no longer infected by the density that comes from the healing that was undone, as well as assisting everyone who has similar trauma that's not been healed and that somehow are not able to, because of so many life cycles of it piling up and piling up. It becomes just almost impossible to address. These are people who a lot of times you'll find that they struggle to get out of bed, and can barely do day-to-day life, and then finding themselves suddenly able to do that as a result of your healing that you've done for yourself. It's actually released them enough to then be able to do the healing on their own as well. So that's amazing. It's really cool. Yes, I'm very tired, cannot get enough sleep. Staying up until 3 a.m. wide awake, get sleepy when I wake up and throughout the day. Seem to get a second wind at night. I know, me too, a second wind at night. That one drives me the most crazy, I would say, of all of it. Hello, Miriam. Good to see you. Macy said, I think that's how you say your name. I have been asked to pass along a message. Magnesium intake needs to be raised. Yes, thank you. There's a lot of minerals that we don't introduce into our bodies as often as our body could use. A lot of minerals we do pick up while we walk barefoot on the soil outside, on the grass, in the sand. When we're walking barefoot, it helps with do a lot of things. Recently, science decided to join the parade and say that, and call it something. It's called earthing. So just the word earth, ing. You can look this up, and they guide you to a lot of practices. They have a different take on it. Their take is to assist you from having like seasonal depression and things like that, or different kinds of depression. Whatever their interpretation is, it's what happens is the pores of your soul, the soles of your feet, are the largest pores on your body. This is why we're able to use foot soaks as a means of ingesting or administering most herbal remedies. And so this is also a place of purging. You'll notice a lot of these foot soaks, or a lot of these parasite cleanses are foot soaks, and a lot of gunk and nastiness ends up in this water. It seems like it's made up. It seems like there's got it, but it's real. It really is real. I've used, uninterfered with ingredients and found some really shocking things leave my body through my pores. Like it's crazy the amount of stuff that's in our body. So walking barefoot will help a lot of that, but also too, we don't have a lot of as much of this stuff in the soil around us that we used to, at an earlier stage of the human existence. So introducing very specific, I like the and use your own discernment and find the right place to use the things that you're going to use. However, the concentrate of magnesium in like just a little bit in the bath, a couple of drops in the bath, or in a foot soak, or something like that really does help. People will ingest the magnesium. Please follow the guidance of being healthy about it. There's a lot of things that people can do and overdo things. Be aware of it. There's also a lot of amazing things that come from putting Epsom salt in your bath with you. Epsom salts become like almost a cure-all. I kind of feel a little bit like from that movie from forever ago, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I think is what it's called. And there was that Greek dad that was always using the window cleaner for everything. Well, I'm kind of like that with Epsom salt. Epsom salt, apple cider vinegar. There's a couple of different things that are like that just add that to it too. You know what I mean? And so it really does help. So thank you very much for your message. I really do appreciate it. Um, and Star Child says thanks as well. Will do. I have been forgetting to take it. Magnesium really does help. Most of us have it missing from our diets. Um, and also being aware, having food conscious, being conscious of the food and the things that you're putting in your body. Um, we don't always know where things have come from, especially if it's made ahead of time when we weren't present, and so allowing yourself, if you can make it possible, to use things that, for instance, if there's something that has seed oil, or they call it vegetable oil or canola oil in it, this is one of my biggest alarm in my body things that, no, I don't eat that. And you'll find that the vast majority of pre-made food uses this. Whether or not it's fried, you're going to find it in most processed goods. You're going to find it in breads. You're going to find it everywhere. And to replace that with butter is so much better for you. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Fifth Essentials LLC, Josie, there are a few people with the foot action going on. Interesting. Thank you for bringing this up. I've noticed it's becoming a little bit more common, and typically for me, that's what my body does when it wants me to go walk barefoot. I haven't grounded. I haven't earthed out, enough. And so it's like, come on, please, excuse me, if you don't have a place that's like grass or soil or sand that you can stand in, you can bring some into the home if it's colder where you're at. I've done that almost every year. In the wintertime, I'll have a bucket of dirt in the house. It doesn't have to be a big bucket, and you don't need to dig your foot into it. You really only need to put the sole of your foot on it, or play with it with your hands. The second largest pore system on your body is, first is the soles of your feet, and the second are your hands. I do find that I need to do it twice as long with my hands if I'm going to do it that way. Though I do typically end up doing it with my hands also, just because it's fun. And you can be in this place of play. I've noticed that when I'm in a place of play, and enjoy that playful place, that all things that I intended to have happen increases. It improves the experience that I'm in. When you're in a place of play, have a little Tonka truck in there, whatever. This Zen garden thing has a lot more behind it than we ever really realized, so spirit is super strong and obvious for me today. Yeah, you could say that again. It's super strong, and it's their presence is instead of like a shadow or an echo or a residual, there's like there. It's as strong as if you're, yeah, it's amazing. Connecting with this right now and whatever is correct for you is highly encouraged. Any of you are feeling this, whether you're feeling it or not, going into a place of meditation with intention today. The equinox was official at 7:47 a.m. Central Standard Time, though it's going through the entirety of the day. This is when we're at this balance. We all know the earth isn't actually what they show it to be. There's a lot more truth to the flat earthers, and the round earthers are both right in some ways. Anyway, so while we're on this equinox, we're in the perfect equal center of it and of the earth that we're on. And so there's a lot of activations, a lot of balance occurs, and spirit makes themselves present. They're in an audience, they're in attendance, and they're prepared as teachers and as guides to remind you of the teacher that you are, and assist us through this energy we're in. This is a reminder for you, Star Child. I think she's talking to somebody specific. Just asked to pass along. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I didn't read that full thing. So I appreciate the message, though. It's really useful for everyone to remember the magnesium. Mila, you said grounding has a detoxing effect to the soles of your feet. I was curious if you can say more about this. Yeah, this is actually really, really helpful. So Um, it's called the ionization process. In when we're talking about the purging of the positively charged ions. So let's go with this part first, because it's three parts. Um, our bodies take on the energy around us, coming from the sun, coming from your basic environment, those you cross paths with along your day, so on and so forth. Um, and so it fills up these ions on in our body, and they are now considered positively charged ions. Positively charged ions sound like a radio station that's um, not perfectly tuned in. So it's that gurgling sound, right? Um, and so then when we put our feet on the soil outside or inside, if you bring the soil in, you'll find that the earth will gladly accept all these positively charged ions, and then you are filled up, or it's replaced with negatively charged ones. So it's basically like a big filled up sack that gets emptied for you. And the peace and the calm and the quiet. There's no longer this staticky, icky, irritating energy all around you anymore. And then you can find this balance. Something else that occurs is, as soon as we put our feet on the soil, that these toxins, the things that don't serve us, begin to leave our feet immediately. It is accepted by the soil. Every type of soil is different. However, what's closest to your vicinity, the biosphere that you live within, the better it will do in the removal of the toxins that are needing to be pulled from you specifically. You'll find that if we import soil from some other place, it'll still help us. It won't do it as well as, close to us. This doesn't have to be in your front yard, especially if you don't have like a nice place to stand on, but nearby. We'll also find it refreshing to be barefoot on places that are farther away from us by a little bit of a distance, um, because of the absence of specific minerals in the soil that's in our vicinity. I believe it's that refreshing take. Um, and okay, what did I say so far? I already lost my train of thought. And then all of the things that are not of organic nature will begin to leave our form, as well as the organic nature. A lot of times you'll look down and you'll see like the things that are leaving your body. It's really can be gross, but you know what? I'd rather be grossed out than have that stuff in my body. You know, I'm going to show you guys something else. This is something that I got recently, and this does a similar thing. Because not everybody can get outside. Another way of detoxing or purging of these parasites is, this is the kind I have. I'm not selling a product. I am not backing anybody. And I'm sure there's a better version out there than what I have. But I have this. It's just clay. It's, powder clay. And what I've done is, I've been guided to use this, about a cup of it, because I put it in a bathtub. In a foot soak would be less, I'm sure, and about the same amount of apple cider vinegar, about the same amount of Epsom salt, and warm to hot water, and soak in that. I did this. I followed spirit, and they didn't say bathtub. They said foot soak. I did it in the bath, and I found it took 3 times of washing my hair to get like my hair to where it didn't have that stickiness to it. After I got out of the bath, I actually forgot to even think to look what was in the water as I, moved on about getting ready and dressed and stuff. And then a few moments later, I was hanging out with my kiddo, and I noticed like it would seem like blackheads on the brim or on the ridge of my ear, So I'm like just pulling them, and there was a whole bunch of them. There was a whole bunch all lined up, and so I would take, and then they were in my hand, and man, they were worms. They were these little worms that were moving around. And then all of a sudden they were like all over my body. I wasn't I under the influence of some type of vision inducing thing. This is my body purging. It would throughout the day, as the evening progressed, my whole body, every pore that was under the water had stuff coming out of it. And I'm grateful that it did. And I plan to do it again very soon. It is something that we haven't been doing for just a little while. Like our grandmas, you know, until they started burning the books in the 60s, would help us do different types of parasite cleansings. Often there were some that you would do daily, some that you would do weekly, some monthly, some, every couple of months, every year. There are these parasite cleansings that we always did as a society. And as soon as they start to introduce these parasites into our food, they also remove the knowledge of parasite cleanses. And this is something above everything else, of anything else you can do, because we notice that our bodies are needing more of these different minerals, that we are we are in need of more minerals, though a lot of the minerals, I feel, are also being purged of us, or taken, utilized by these parasites that are in our bodies. This isn't a like groundbreaking thing. People knew this for generations and generations. That's just part of. We do some parasite cleanses, like brushing our teeth. That's parasites. Washing your eyes. You get those parasites. They build up. Some parasites are part of team body. They help us until they end up piling up, until there's too many of them. A lot of the parasites that they're intentionally adding to our foods are in order to get us to want to crave that food more. So we'll want to buy more of that product. And usually, I've not seen an example where it's been organic. Typically, meaning produce or something like that. Typically, it's in a processed food. Typically, it's in like bagged chips, crisps, things like this. You can go off the list. Anything that is obvious that it's been sent through a process to be made is something that I question. You just using a home microscope, you can see the parasites that have been added to these foods. It's basic information at this point. It's kind of freaky seeming when you first learn about it, but if you don't hear about it, then you're not going to know to do something about it, and then letting our bodies have more of the minerals that we're missing. Something else about this type of stuff, this clay, is that it has a lot of minerals that our bodies are missing. Clay in your area is probably better than something that you would be shipped in from someplace else. So if you can find clay in your back 40 or something like that, I encourage you to do it. However, if you can't, this is the next best thing. So gravity brings toxins down to the sole of the feet. Oh, interesting. That makes sense. I just saw the soles. I like that wording. Gravity brings toxins down to the soles of your feet. Essential oils on the feet is also helpful. Pure essential oil enters the bloodstream very quickly. Antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. Thank you very much, Janet. Yeah. You can also, there's the ancient easy practice of a raw onion. You take a raw onion, you cut that bad boy in half. If you want to cut thick slices, that also works. You don't have to, if you don't have very many onions and however, collect the cut side of the onion, put that against your skin, and it'll draw out the toxins. If you have a cold, a chest cold or ear infection, I've also done this. This was introduced through my Swedish grandma. She'd put it in a nylon sock and stick it against your ear, and man, I remember the smell when I was a kid. It was like, why don't make me do that? But then you look at it, you can see how. And I'm that person. I like the control one. So like I'll cut it in half and put one half on the counter, and I'll then put the other half against my lungs if that's where I'm being affected, or the soles of my feet. You can also put it directly on your abdomen, above or near to an area of an organ that's causing the issue. It'll draw toxins out. Not always does it look like worms. Parasites aren't always worm looking, and there's a lot of different, very microscopic things that when they come out of your body, they just look brown or gray against the surface. And then what I'll go back and do is look at the onion that's on the counter. And yeah, it also draws toxins out of the air. So that's what yellows the onion when it sits on the counter for too long. But then put them side by side. It's really fun to see the difference. You can see how much of it came out of your body. It's crazy. Thank you for your words of wisdom, Mila. Thank you, Daniel, very much. That was very kind of you to say. Sacred geometry. Oh, I think she's talking to you. Is anyone seeing sacred geometry, visible or third eye? I noticed that kicking up lately. This has been something that I've had a lot of fun with too. I have been hearing some people talking about it. Anyone else? I heard that Janet's gotten more of it lately. It's similar to what we used to remember when we were kids. Remember, you used to rub your eyes so you could see all the cool stuff. It's starting to happen like that, where people are having it with just walking through their day and just seeing it. For me, it's typically when no one else is in the room, but there have been cases lately where I'm speaking with somebody and it's around them and it's a code for me to understand for them. Sometimes it looks kind of like something like this, and this I'm not saying this shape, but like this kind of orientation where it's just like layered on layered on layered, just different kind of stuff. These are activation symbols. They're not always understood. It's just like, wow, this really feels cool, and it's really we're just taking it in. I have yet to come to a place in my life where I am deciphering it. I become aware of the code of it, and within a short time, I start to notice that these symbols, these codes that have been presented to me in this way, come back. I just looked up, and I'd been on for 1 hour, 1 minute, and 11 seconds. That's pretty cool. I see bentonite is brought up. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I do need to get going. Oh, Josie says, yeah, I love the clay. The Aztec brand is definitely only for external use. Right. I'm not going to try that. I'm going to try that bath. I hope that you do, dude. Oh my goodness. And remember what I said about your hair. So if you want to keep your hair out of it, I probably am going to go ahead and put my hair in it again. This next time, I'm probably going to do this tonight again. Just keeping in mind, it took washing my hair 3 times to get the residue out. It seemed clean when you looked at it, but it just would stick together kind of. It was weird. So anyway, keeping that in mind, and yes, thank you for saying that. This is not meant for you to eat it. This is for external use. You can also put it against your skin, this particular clay just against your skin, and you'll have phenomenal results. However, I was guided. This was something I was guided to do. This particular concoction of warm water, warm to hot water, Epsom salt, apple cider vinegar, and this clay. And it was about a cup of each in a bathtub, So like if you're doing it on a foot soak, I would probably do less. I wouldn't do a whole cup in the foot soak, I don't think. And then, just give it some time. I was doing this, and being that it was the bath was with an intention that I went through a bit of a meditative state for a period of time. So I don't know how long I was in there, probably about 45 minutes before I became aware of myself again. So, give it, if you want to follow the way I did it, it was probably about 45 minutes. So, and then just keeping in mind that you would probably want to rinse off afterward if you're not going to bathe after. So anyway, thank you all for coming. Thank you so much for everything that you've been doing and for being part of this community. I want to say thank you all to all the new subscribers. It's been so much fun to go and see how many people are on this journey with us. And for all of you who have been here for this entire time and making the family be what it is, this light family is just such an honor and a privilege to be part of this, to be a part of all of you. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. for all that you are. And um, you got this. I know that right now, if it's been feeling kind of funky for some of us, there's a lot of things coming up that, are meant for us to be able to observe so we can heal through it, so allow yourself to observe it, knowing you are safe and protected, bringing in that loving light of God, and so we don't have to do it again. So it can be addressed and done. So thank you all. Happy Equinox. And if you come to the meditation later, then I will see you then. Otherwise, I will see you again on Wednesday. I'm actually not sure who my guest is. I forgot to write it down, so I'll have to look that up. But I love you all.